Good morning. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. It's Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
President-elect Trump building his administration.
The time for failed policies is over.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Congressional Republicans say they will hit the ground running once President-elect Donald Trump takes office.
We are ready.
Sagar Meghani at the White House.
A Massachusetts Air National Guardsman was sentenced to 15 years in prison for leaking classified military documents. I'm Ed Donahue.
The New York judge overseeing Donald Trump's hush money case delays ruling on whether to scrap the president-elect's conviction. Julie Walker, New York.
On Wall Street, the rally took a breather. Markets are coming off a day in the red. We get a fresh read on inflation this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
A jury has awarded $42 million to 3 former detainees of Iraq's notorious Abu Ghraib prison. I'm Shelley Adler.
All ahead on America in the Morning. As a Republican House, Senate, and presidency is aligning in D.C., President-elect Donald Trump continues to make his appointments as he forms his new administration. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
With the Republican-led Congress, Trump appointees are not expected to have too much trouble being confirmed. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee named President-elect Trump's ambassador to Israel as war rages in the Middle East. Huckabee, known as pro-settlement and as an advocate for Israel's expansion into the West Bank, Israeli leaders praise the move and call Huckabee a friend of Israel. In D.C., Republicans are encouraged by Trump's building of his administration. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer.
The time for failed policies that have wreaked havoc on hardworking Americans for the last 4 years is over.
Republican leaders committed to the Trump agenda. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
We flipped blue seats to red as we planned, and we kept this majority.
As senators elect the next leader of the Senate, current Minority Leader Mitch McConnell glad the Senate is taking back the chamber.
I'm so happy that all of our new members are here to create that majority and give us a chance to make the kind of changes for America that the voters voted for.
Trump already named Tom Homan border czar and recently announced on Truth Social that William McGinley will be the White House counsel. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik tapped as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Danny Danon, Israel's ambassador to the UN, spoke with Fox Business about that move.
We are excited. We heard about the nomination of Representative Elise Stefanik, that she will be coming here to the United Nations. We saw her in action when she tackled anti-Semitism on campuses, and that's exactly what you will see here in this building, a lot of anti-Semitism, and what we saw in the last few months.
As Trump continues to put his cabinet together, speculation grows over other members of his administration. Former U.S. Rep. John Ratcliffe, who served as Director of National Intelligence under Trump the first time around, is Trump's pick for CIA Director this time. There are reports that Florida Senator Marco Rubio could be named Secretary of State, RFK Jr. being thrown around as a possible HHS Secretary, and Kristi Noem's name being floated for Department of Homeland Security. Congressman Michael Waltz, a Florida Republican, expected to be named National Security Advisor. And the president-elect said yesterday he intends to nominate Fox News host and decorated war veteran Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary. I'm Clayton Neville.
President-elect Trump will be in Washington, D.C. today, where he will meet with President Biden at the White House. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports House Republicans and Speaker Mike Johnson say they're ready to deliver on the Election Day's resounding mandate.
It is a beautiful morning in Washington. It is a new day in America. The sun's shining, and that's a reflection about how we all feel. This is a very, very important moment for the country, and we do not take it lightly.
Congressional Republicans say they will hit the ground running once President-elect Donald Trump takes office.
We believe we could be the most consequential Congress of the modern era, and he the most consequential president, because we quite literally have to fix almost every metric of public policy. Everything is a mess. Everything. We are ready to deliver on America's mandate.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says 8 years ago, the GOP was not prepared for Trump's win, and Congress wasted precious time. Not this time.
It's true that on Tuesday, voters rejected what they really felt was the misery of the last 4 years. We're moving on, and we're turning the page, and this is something that the American people desperately need and deserve. We're going to raise an America First banner above this place.
Even though the House majority is too early to call, Johnson says he expects unified GOP control, paving the way toward enacting Trump's agenda.
We expect that the majority will be larger than last time. We still have a number of races outstanding, but we're very optimistic about those. And we are looking forward to governing in unified government beginning in January.
The Speaker says the president-elect will visit with House Republicans on Capitol Hill, likely before stopping here to meet with President Biden.
We will work closely with him and his administration to turn this country around and unleash, as he says, a new golden age in America. That's not a campaign slogan. We believe that that is true. We believe in our hearts that America's best days are ahead of us, and we're excited to deliver upon that promise.
Sagar Meghani at the White House.
Today's top stories are brought to you by Sleep Number. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? It's the only bed that lets you make each side firmer or softer whenever you want. Save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com. National Guard spy learns his fate. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning, tracking the latest storm system. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
A storm in the northwest will lead to moderate to heavy rain along the coast from northern California into Washington. Rain will continue to build eastward into the northern Rockies by this afternoon, with snow levels falling through the Cascades into the Rockies late today and tonight. Several inches of snow will be possible by Wednesday morning. The rest of the west from southern California into the Four Corners and Rockies, as well as the western plains, will generally have plenty of sunshine today. Highs will be in the 30s and 40s in the Rockies, with 50s, 60s, and 70s in most other areas. There is a system moving out of the Rockies into the plains today. That could lead to a few lingering rain or snow showers in the central Rockies early this morning. Again, most of the day will be dry with sunshine. However, the main part of the system will lead to increasing rain this morning through the northern plains from eastern Nebraska into the eastern Dakotas, into Iowa and Minnesota. And then farther south, there will be some thunderstorms, a few of which could be severe in eastern Louisiana into southwest Alabama, causing damaging winds, hail, and even a tornado. Some of the rain farther north will be heavy enough to cause localized flooding. And this rain will continue to expand eastward tonight into the Great Lakes, southward to the Gulf Coast, into Florida and Georgia as well, from the Tennessee Valley into the western Carolinas. High pressure in the east will lead to a dry day for the region. There will be some sunshine for the most part, but clouds will be building from that plain storm later in the day and at night. And it will be a chilly day across the northern states with highs in the 30s and 40s, and then warming slowly to the 60s and 70s in the south. This is about 5 to 10 degrees below the historical average. And finally, we are watching a tropical rainstorm near Jamaica that could have some U.S. impacts next week. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow America in the Morning wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. I'm John Trout. A former member of the National Guard, who prosecutors said was behind one of the biggest violations of the Espionage Act in American history, faced a judge and learned his fate. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
A Massachusetts Air National Guardsman was sentenced to 15 years in prison for leaking classified military documents. Jack Teixiera pleaded guilty. U.S. Attorney Joshua Levy says he admitted illegally collecting some of the nation's most sensitive secrets and shared them with other users on the social media platform Discord.
Included information about troop movements in the Ukrainian theater, about provision of supplies to troops. It included information about a plot to kill Americans serving overseas by a foreign adversary.
Before he was sentenced, Teixiera apologized for his actions. The FBI's Jody Cohen was asked, why did he do it?
Teixiera told the FBI he did this to boost his ego, impress his anonymous friends, and set the record straight about Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
His attorneys had described Teixiera as an autistic, isolated individual who spent most of his time online and never meant to harm the United States. I'm Ed Donahue.
A week after winning the presidency, Donald Trump has won a reprieve in his New York hush money criminal case. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Tuesday's postponement comes as prosecutors ponder next steps, and Trump's lawyers argue for dismissing it so he can run the country. Judge Juan Merchan told Trump's lawyers he'd delay the ruling until November 19th so prosecutors can suggest a way forward.
He could try to conclude on sort of more general grounds that it's somehow improper or even unconstitutional to sentence a sitting president or somebody who's about to be a sitting president.
George Mason law professor Ilya Soman weighs in.
The likely options is either the case would be frozen or thrown out because he's a sitting president, or alternatively, the case continues, but he gets a sentence other than prison.
A jury convicted Trump in May of falsifying business records related to a $130,000 hush money payment to Stormy Daniels in 2016. Trump denies wrongdoing. Julie Walker, New York.
When we return on America in the Morning, political winners, crypto-backed candidates. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. The Wednesday Report. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after some profit-taking yesterday and a breather for the post-election rally. The Dow gave back 380 points. It slipped below the 44,000 mark.
So I think it's just a breather. So I actually think it is going to, we are going to see the markets resume their strength. Seasonally, November and December are very strong months.
Hightower's Stephanie Link on CNBC. Bitcoin, a little volatile on Tuesday, but then approached 90,000. The cryptocurrency's been on fire since the election. President-elect Trump has promised to make the U.S. the Bitcoin capital of the world. The crypto industry, meantime, spent more than $100 million on election ads through political action committees, and most of the candidates they backed won.
Crypto groups, they made a $131 million bet in the 2024 general elections, and it has paid off. Coinbase, Ripple, Andreessen Horowitz, and others, they poured millions into a super PAC fair shake to make sure that lawmakers started paying attention to the issue and ensuring that crypto will be top of mind next year in Congress. They backed 59 lawmakers donating to their races, and of those, 52 so far have resulted in the crypto-backed candidate winning.
CNBC's Emily Wilkins. Home Depot says sales are getting a little better, but consumers are still cautious. It was out with better than expected quarterly results on the back of some pretty bad hurricanes.
I spoke to CFO Richard McPhail, who said third quarter sales were stronger than expected, thanks in part to warm, dry weather in the U.S., which extended outdoor projects, as well as spending associated with hurricanes Milton and Helene.
CNBC's Courtney Reagan. Americans shelled out more money for concert tickets than ever before, at least sold by Live Nation's Ticketmaster division. Live Nation reported its biggest summer season ever, profit up 39% over the same quarter last year.
Live Nation, we just pulled out the soundbite of the CFO on just the bullishness that they're still seeing in the concert space. Listen.
We're, I think, in a period of unprecedented level of activity for Ticketmaster in Q4. And then that'll continue into Q1 and through next year.
There you go. And the Eras Tour even wraps up by the end of the year. So
it's not just all Taylor then?
Not just all Taylor.
CNBC's Sarah Eisen and David Faber there. On today's watch list, it's busy. We get the latest on inflation with the CPI, the Consumer Price Index for October.
We'll be watching for that. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, new ban on American airliners flying into Haiti. After these messages. Thanks for listening. You're with America in the Morning. A Virginia-based military contractor's been held responsible for the treatment of 3 Abu Ghraib prison detainees. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
A jury has awarded $42 million to 3 former detainees of Iraq's notorious Abu Ghraib prison. The decision from the 8-person jury came after a different group earlier this year could not agree on whether Reston, Virginia-based CACI should be held liable for the work of its civilian interrogators who worked alongside the U.S. Army at Abu Ghraib in 2003 and 2004. The 3 plaintiffs were awarded $3 million each in compensatory damages and $11 million apiece in punitive damages. They all testified that they were subjected to beatings, sexual abuse, forced nudity, and other cruel treatment at the prison. I'm Shelley Adler.
The FAA has increased the ban on American carriers flying into Haiti after investigations found that an American Airlines and JetBlue plane was also hit by gunfire prior to a Spirit Airlines passenger jet being damaged by bullets. Correspondent Haya Panjwani is following the story.
The Federal Aviation Administration is stopping U.S. airlines from flying to Haiti after gangs shot at a Spirit Airlines flight. The rule is in place for 30 days. Bullets hit the plane as it was about to land in Haiti's capital of Port-au-Prince. Gunshots injured 1 flight attendant. It's part of a wave of violence in Haiti after the country swore in its new prime minister. The United Nations said it'll suspend flights, limiting the flow of humanitarian aid and personnel into the country. I'm Haya Panjwani.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
President-elect Trump with a surprise selection to be his Secretary of Defense. I'm John Stolness in Washington.
Democrat Ruben Gallego of Arizona has won his U.S. Senate race against Republican Carrie Lake. I'm Jennifer King.
President-elect Trump tackling illegal immigration. I'm Clayton Neville.
The president of Israel met with President Biden at the White House. I'm Sue Aller.
Northeastern Verizon Fios customers experience total blackout. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
The assessment is in on the hurricane damage to Tropicana Field in Florida. I'm Ed Donahue.
A missed guess on Wheel of Fortune leads to some fun results. I'm Kevin Carr.
Our show returns after these messages. You're with America in the Morning and the Wednesday national forecast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
There is yet another storm system moving out of the Rockies into the Plain States today. There will be a few rain and snow showers left over in the central Rockies early this morning, but the main part of the system will increase rain first thing this morning through the northern plains into eastern Nebraska, as well as eastern Dakotas, continuing to Iowa and Minnesota. Farther south, there'll be some thunderstorms, a few of which could be severe from eastern Louisiana into southwest Alabama. Those could produce damaging winds, hail, and even a tornado. Some of the rain farther north will be heavy enough to even cause some localized flooding. And rain and thunderstorms will continue to expand eastward tonight into the Great Lakes and then southward to the Gulf Coast into Florida and Georgia, as well as areas from the Tennessee Valley into the western Carolinas. Another storm in the northwest will lead to moderate to heavy rain along the coast from northern California into the Washington state. And then rain will continue eastward into the northern Rockies by this afternoon, with snow levels falling through the Cascades into the Rockies late today and tonight. Several inches of snow will be possible by Wednesday morning. The area in between the storms from Southern California into the Four Corners, the Rockies, and western plains from Texas to the western portions of the Dakotas will generally have plenty of sunshine today, and highs will be in the 30s and 40s in the Rockies, with 50s, 60s, and 70s in most other areas. High pressure in the east will lead to a dry day for the region. There will be sunshine for the most part, but clouds will start to increase from the storm system in the plains later today and tonight. That's the weather across America. Huntsville, Alabama will have clouds building this morning and some rain and thunderstorm this afternoon with a high of 63. Pueblo, Colorado will have plenty of sunshine today with a chilly high of 48. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. President-elect Donald Trump and his team are quickly filling important posts in his next administration, including a surprising nomination for Secretary of Defense. John Stolnis has the story from Washington.
The Trump campaign announced yesterday he is naming Fox News host Pete Hegseth to be the nation's civilian leader at the Pentagon. Hegseth is an Army veteran who deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan before an unsuccessful run for the Senate in Minnesota in 2012. He's been an outspoken critic to what he calls woke policies in the Pentagon. In an appearance on the Sean Ryan show last week, Hegseth argued women should not be in combat roles.
It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated. We've all served with women, and they're great. It just, our institutions don't have to incentivize that in places where over human history, men in those positions are more capable.
Paul Rieckhoff, founder of Independent Veterans of America, called Hegseth the least qualified nominee for SecDef in American history and the most overtly political. In a statement, Trump said, quote, "Nobody fights harder for the troops than Pete, and he will be a courageous and patriotic champion of our peace through strength policy." Trump also announced Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy would team up to head a new Department of Government Efficiency with the goal of dismantling bureaucracy, slashing excess regulations, and eliminating large numbers of non-elected career civil servants from the government payrolls. Ramaswamy this week with Tucker Carlson said it's all doable.
But I'm actually far more intrigued and interested for the long run in what I think of as the second mass deportation that we require, which is the mass deportation of millions of unelected federal bureaucrats out of the DC bureaucracy. And I do think that is what's going to save this country in the long run. That. I think you actually can.
Trump is also nominating former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee to be ambassador to Israel, North Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to lead the Department of Homeland Security, and former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe to lead the CIA. Trump earlier this week nominated Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State and Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik as ambassador to the UN. John Stolnis, Washington.
Democrat Ruben Gallego wins the Arizona Senate race, wrapping up the 2024 Senate election results and finalizing the GOP majority. Correspondent Jennifer King reports. Audio courtesy of ABC 15 Arizona.
Democrat Ruben Gallego of Arizona has won his U.S. Senate race against Republican Kari Lake, stopping the Republican majority at 53 with all of the Senate races called.
I'm a husband, a Marine, and father, and a proud Arizonan. And with the results we saw tonight, your next senator from the great state of Arizona.
The five-term House member and Iraq War veteran downplayed his progressive voting record and focused on his up-by-the-bootstraps life story, crediting his single mother who raised him and three sisters on a secretary's salary.
She worked night and day, all to give us a shot at the American dream.
Gallego attacked his opponent Kari Lake on abortion and got more votes in Arizona than Kamala Harris, suggesting a substantial number of Arizonans supported Donald Trump at the top of the ticket and a Democrat for Senate.
What I've learned from every part of this state, from Democrats, Republicans, Independents, so we all just want a better life for ourselves and the ability to give our kids the best possible future that they could have. So that's exactly what I'm going to fight for in the Senate. And I'll work with anyone to get that job done.
Gallego becomes the first Latino senator to represent Arizona and will replace independent and former Democrat Kyrsten Sinema.
When it's time to fight, we will fight the administration. When there's places that we can find common ground, we'll find common ground. But we're going to make sure that we look at it every day from that sense and that point of view, is that at the end of the day, what is the best for Arizona?
I'm Jennifer King.
Winning the White House on a promise to fix the southern border, President-elect Trump's border czar is telling leaders of sanctuary cities to get out of the way as the incoming administration plans to crack down on illegal immigration. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The Biden administration made a few moves surrounding migration as campaigning ramped up in this year's election. Some of those moves are potentially thought to be tools for President-elect Trump when he takes office in January for his planned crackdown on illegal immigration. President Biden put emergency border controls in place this year that essentially ban asylum for migrants who enter the U.S. illegally. This week, Trump named former ICE Director Tom Homan as his border czar.
Our target field is huge because we just don't have the normal criminal alien population across the border. Now we got to clean up 4 years of criminal aliens being released to the streets.
Homan told Fox's Hannity that there isn't going to be massive sweeps of neighborhoods.
People need to understand it's not going to be no massive sweeps of neighborhoods. Everybody we arrest, we're going out with a fugitive operation worksheet. We know who they are. We pretty much know where we're going to find them.
He had a message for state and local leaders.
And I saw today numerous governors from sanctuary states saying they're going to step in the way. They better get the hell out of the way. Either you help us or get the hell out of the way, because ICE is going to do their job. We're going to take the handcuffs off ICE that the Biden administration put on them and let ICE what they do best.
Homan told Fox that there's a lot of ground to make up for.
They promised, this administration promised, they're going to concentrate on the criminal aliens. That was a priority. Secretary Mayorkas said it. I looked at the stats today. The removal of criminal aliens is down 74%. From President Trump. We have more criminals here than we ever had. So we got plenty of targets out there, and the men and women of this new administration are going to go look for them. They're going to look for them in sanctuary cities. If sanctuary cities don't want to help, get out of the way. I'll double the workforce in that sanctuary city. We're going to do our job. Despite the politics, we're doing it. So get used to it, because we're coming.
In border states like Texas, where there's plenty of support for a Trump presidency, state resources continue to beef up their presence along the border in anticipation of a surge of immigration before Trump takes office in January. I'm Clayton Neville.
Among the stories we're covering next, Biden-Trump meeting today and more time for TikTok. Those items and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. President Joe Biden hosted the president of Israel at the White House as the outgoing administration's working toward a ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon before President-elect Trump takes office. Sue Aller reports.
President Joe Biden met with Israeli President Isaac Herzog at the White House on Tuesday. Their discussion focused on the ongoing conflicts in Gaza and Lebanon, as well as the humanitarian situation in Gaza and the hostages still held by Hamas. Herzog emphasized the urgency of getting the hostages back.
I know, Mr. President, that you're day in, day out actively seeking their safe return home, as they are going through hell in the dungeons of Gaza.
He also described Iran as an evil empire.
In Tehran, with its proxies, they are doing whatever they can to derail stability and security and peace, calling for the annihilation of the state of Israel and seeking nuclear weapons.
Last month, the administration had given Israel 30 days to increase humanitarian aid to Gaza and said that failure to comply could trigger U.S. laws requiring it to scale back military support. Israel did not meet those demands, citing many factors, including security concerns. Authorities said that Israel allowed 404 aid trucks into Gaza between November 1st and November 9th, short of the goal. However, the U.S. decided to continue arms transfers to Israel. The meeting ended with Herzog thanking President Biden for being a good friend to Israel.
You know, my commitment to Israel is ironclad, and we share a deep friendship. I want to thank you again for being here.
I'm Sue Aller.
Republicans in Congress have led the charge to ban the popular social media app TikTok next year. Lisa Dwyer reports that the Chinese-owned company could receive a lifeline from President-elect Trump.
President-elect Donald Trump has repeatedly pledged during his most recent campaign to oppose a ban on the short-form video app TikTok. For months, TikTok and its China-based parent company ByteDance have been embroiled in a legal battle with the U.S. over a federal law that forces them to cut ties or face a ban. If the courts uphold the law, it would fall on Trump's Justice Department to enforce that statute. Trump could try different things to prevent the app from disappearing, including finding a buyer for it. The companies claim that divestiture is not possible, and the law, if upheld, would force them to shut down by January 19th, a day before Trump's inauguration. Attorneys for both sides have asked a federal appeals court reviewing the case to issue a ruling by December 6th, with the losing side expected to appeal to the Supreme Court. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Verizon's Fios network is one of the largest internet providers in the world, and on Tuesday, over 1 million customers were without service for a time, and cellular operator T-Mobile also experienced an outage in Salt Lake City. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
Verizon's Fios service had a major outage yesterday. According to the site downdetector.com, reports stated early Tuesday morning the heat map of the United States posted on the website showed users reporting issues in Boston, New York, and Washington, an area covering almost 300 miles. It's estimated over 1 million people were affected from Philadelphia all the way to Richmond, Virginia. Verizon Wireless is one of the largest network carriers in the United States, covering over 70% of the country with its LTE network. Verizon was quick to restore service, saying that some Fios customers in the Northeast also were out for a short period of time, and that as soon as the issue was identified, engineering teams quickly restored the service. They also said that 90% of the complaints were related to internet services, and about 9% were described as a total blackout. No other information has been provided as to the cause of the blackout. For more tech news, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
A Major League Baseball team has some important goals in 2025, but the most paramount the Tampa Bay Rays have is, what city will they play their home games in after a hurricane ripped the roof off their stadium? Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
18 of the ballpark's 24 fabric panels were ripped off by Hurricane Milton last month. The basic structure of the dome stadium is considered sound. The city of St. Petersburg said the bill to fix it is more than $55 million, with a return in time for the Tampa Bay Rays 2026 season. It means the team is looking for a place to play in the upcoming season. Tropicana Field is already scheduled to be demolished when a new $1.3 billion ballpark is finished in time for the 2028 season. Because of the recent hurricane damage, two of the main financial sources for the new ballpark could reconsider those plans or decide not to repair Tropicana Field at all. For now, Major League Baseball wants the Rays to stay near their fan base, with several Tampa Bay area spring training sites suggested. I'm Ed Donahue.
Sports continues this Wednesday with America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Hockey last night, the Winnipeg Jets ripped the New York Rangers 6-3 to become the first NHL team ever to put up 15 wins in its first 16 games. Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor each had 2 goals. Senators shut out the Maple Leafs, 27 saves for Linus Ullmark. Oilers squandered a 2-goal lead in period 3, but came back to nip the Islanders in overtime. Bruins scored 3 in the third to shade the Blues. Devils drilled the Panthers. Canucks snuffed out the Flames, and the Kraken blasted the Blue Jackets. Tuesday marked the opening games in this year's NBA Cup. The Hawks came from down 15 to surprise the Celtics 117-116 in Boston. Pistons edged the Heat in overtime, taking the lead with 1 second left after Miami coach Eric Spoelstra called a timeout that he didn't have. Malik Beasley sank the free throw after the technical. Knicks nailed the Sixers, but Philadelphia finally got Joel Embiid on the court, 13 points in 26 minutes. Coach Nick Nurse knows the big man is going to need a little time.
Both rusty a little bit, and conditioning, I think, showed up fairly early. I've seen him kind of play through that before, kind of respond in the second half.
Elsewhere, the Blazers torched the Timberwolves. The Suns scorched the Jazz. The Magic swatted the Hornets. The Bucks over the Raptors, and the Warriors fought off the Mavericks. College basketball, big doubleheader in Atlanta. Number 1 Kansas clipped Michigan State in the State Farm Champions Classic. In the nightcap, number 19 Kentucky rallied to upset number 6 Duke. A shakeup in the college football playoff. Georgia's loss at Mississippi on Saturday knocked the Bulldogs from 3rd in the rankings and the 2 seed last week all the way out of the 12-team field. Oregon and Ohio State remain 1st and 2nd, followed by new SEC leader Texas, then 2 more Big Ten powers, Penn State and unbeaten Indiana. But there's still 4 weeks to go, and each of the top 4 teams in the rankings is on the road this weekend. That's Wednesday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. When we return on America in the Morning, the shiny new toy in the room makes history. That and more after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Welcome back. A trio of famous toys are being honored, marking their entry into the National Toy Hall of Fame. Not just playing around with this story, here's correspondent Shelley Adler.
And the winners are
My Little Pony, the card game Phase 10, and Transformers.
Chris Bench, who's the chief curator at the Strong Museum of Play.
My Little Pony has been a finalist 7 times and finally made it into the winner's circle. So it's great to celebrate that.
There were 2,500 nominations this year for 382 toys. The museum staff narrows the field to 12 finalists each year, and a group of educators, specialists, and historians pick the 3 inductees.
Longevity, have to be on the market more than 20 years continuously. They have to be iconic, ones that everyone would recognize, and they need to have the best qualities of play: learning, creativity, discovery, socialization. And this year's inductees have all of those.
I'm Shelley Adler.
There have been some interesting answers over the years on the Wheel of Fortune TV game show, but a Connecticut contestant may have had one of the best flubs yet, as our Kevin Carr reports.
With all the problems in the world today, here's one nice example of turning a mistake into something positive. On Monday's episode of Wheel of Fortune, contestant Will Jordan offered a hilarious guess on a puzzle.
I like to solve the puzzle.
Okay, Will, let's hear it.
Treat yourself a round of sausage. Oh.
I'm sorry, that's not it.
A moment later, the next contestant, Katina Thomas, answered correctly.
I would like to solve.
Okay.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah, that's it.
Host Ryan Seacrest suggested Jordan had a better idea than the correct phrase.
Although, Will, I kind of like yours better. That sounds better than just clapping.
After the show, Maggie Sajak spoke with Jordan about his error in a clip posted on the show's Instagram page. Jordan, a retired Coast Guard veteran and police officer in Connecticut, took it all in stride.
I tell you, when the lights are on and, you know, the stars and Ryan Seacrest, Vanna White, I just went blank. And I'm sure I'm going to have sausages in my locker and police car when I get back. So we'll try to have some fun with it.
The original clip went viral on social media, and even sausage maker Johnsonville got in on the fun, tweeting, quote, "Will's got us inspired. It's World Kindness Day. Post an act you've done or observed with the hashtag #KeepTheInternetJuicy, and we'll treat yourself a round of sausage." People are making the best from Jordan's worst guess. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to treat myself to a round of sausage. I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.